Mahatma Gandhi, India's father of the nation, is a figure celebrated in numerous nations and by international organizations, a departure from most titleholders. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi is born in Porbandar, in western India. His father is the Dewan Chief Minister of the city of Porbandar and an able administrator. His mother is completely absorbed in religion. Mohandas grows up in a home steeped in Vaishnavism, worship of the Hindu god Vishnu, with a strong tinge of Jainism, a morally rigorous Indian religion whose chief tenets are nonviolence and the belief that everything in the universe is eternal. In 1882, Gandhi, only 13 years old, marries Kasturba Kapadia, who is also 13. Kasturba will later participate in a number of her husband's civil disobedience campaigns. 1888–91, Gandhi studies law in London. While there he meets playwright George Bernard Shaw and social reformer Annie Besant, among other notable figures. He is introduced to the Bible and to the Bhagavad Gita, which he reads for the first time in its English translation by Sir Edwin Arnold. In 1893 Gandhi takes a job with an Indian law firm in South Africa, where he is quickly exposed to the racial discrimination practiced there. He settles in Durban and begins to practice law. In 1894 he founds the Natal Indian Congress to agitate for Indian rights. Through that political organization he infuses a spirit of solidarity in the heterogeneous Indian community. He floods the government, the legislature, and the press with closely reasoned statements of Indian grievances. Important newspapers, such as the Times of London and the Statesman and Englishman of Calcutta, now Kolkata, begin to take notice of issues that Gandhi raises. In 1906 a discriminatory law is passed in the Transvaal region of South Africa forcing all Indians to register with the provincial government or else face punishment. Under Gandhi's leadership the Indian community takes a pledge to defy the law and to suffer all the penalties resulting from its defiance. This practice becomes known as satyagraha, a technique for redressing wrongs through inviting, rather than inflicting, suffering, for resisting adversaries without rancor, and fighting them without violence. Gandhi is frequently jailed during the ensuing years. Thousands of other Indians are imprisoned, flogged, or shot. The law is eventually abolished, though racial discrimination in the country continues. Gandhi returns to India in 1915. In 1919 Gandhi becomes a leader in the Indian National Congress political party. He campaigns for Swaraj, or self-rule. He works to reconcile all classes and religious sects, especially Hindus and Muslims. In 1920 he launches a non-cooperation campaign against Britain, urging Indians to spin their own cotton and to boycott British goods, courts, and government. This leads to his imprisonment from 1922 to 1924. Gandhi leads tens of thousands of Indians on a 240-mile (385-kilometer) march to the sea to collect their own salt. The march is a protest against a British tax on salt and results in 60,000 people being arrested. In 1931 the British Viceroy and Gandhi sign an agreement, the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, marking the end of a period of civil disobedience in India against British rule. The pact involves Gandhi pledging to give up the Satyagraha campaign and the British Viceroy agreeing to release all those who had been imprisoned and to allow Indians to make salt for domestic use. Under a new Viceroy, Gandhi is imprisoned again. While in prison he fasts to protest the British decision to segregate the so-called untouchables, the lowest level of the Indian caste system, by allotting them separate electorates in the new constitution. The fast causes an emotional upheaval in the country, and the British agree to change the policy. Gandhi, who in 1934 had resigned as leader and member of the Indian National Congress, becomes politically active again early in World War II, demanding immediate independence as India's price for aiding Britain in the war. He is imprisoned again, from 1942 to 1944. India formally achieves independence from British rule. However, the partition of the subcontinent into India and Pakistan is a great disappointment to Gandhi, who has long worked for Hindu-Muslim unity. Rioting between Muslims and Hindus over the partition breaks out in many areas. Again Gandhi turns to nonviolence, fasting until Delhi rioters pledge peace. While on his way to prayer in Delhi, Gandhi is killed by a young Hindu fanatic who has been angered by Gandhi's efforts to reconcile Hindus and Muslims. Mahatma Gandhi was one of the greatest national and civil rights leaders of the 20th century. He served as a lawyer, politician, and activist in the struggle for social justice and for India's independence from British rule. Gandhi is internationally esteemed for his doctrine of nonviolent protest satyagraha to achieve political and social progress. The development of satyagraha. When he moved to South Africa in 1893, Gandhi quickly encountered racial discrimination. In a Durban court he was asked by the European magistrate to take off his turban. He refused and left the courtroom. A few days later, while traveling to Pretoria, he was thrown out of a first-class railway compartment and was later beaten up by the white driver of a stagecoach because he would not travel on the footboard to make room for a European passenger. He was also barred from hotels reserved for Europeans only. But something happened to Gandhi as he smarted under the insults heaped upon him. That journey from Durban to Pretoria was his moment of truth. Henceforth he would not accept injustice. He would defend his dignity as an Indian and as a man. Gandhi fought with mixed success against South Africa's system of discrimination. He founded the Natal Indian Congress, and his writings exposed to the world the injustices suffered by Indians and others. In 1906 Satyagraha, devotion to truth, was born as a technique of nonviolent resistance. By the time Gandhi returned to India in 1915, he had developed Satyagraha into an effective tool in the fight for social justice. Achieving India's independence. By 1920 Gandhi was India's dominant political figure, exerting a broad influence over the Indian population. The Indian National Congress Congress Party became a mass organization that Gandhi led in nonviolent actions. These included boycotts of British goods as well as British legislatures, courts, offices, and schools. In 1930 Gandhi launched the Salt March as a protest against a British tax on salt. The march was one of the most successful of Gandhi's campaigns. Yet by 1934 he had become disillusioned with the infighting among Congress Party members. He turned to building the nation, from the bottom up. By emphasizing rural education, social equality, and cottage industries, Gandhi believed India could become peaceful and self-sufficient. The final struggle for Indian independence began in 1942. Gandhi demanded an immediate British withdrawal from India, known as the Quit India movement. Over the next 5 years Gandhi struggled to help Muslim, Hindu, and British leaders negotiate Indian independence. He was unable to block the Mountbatten Plan, which divided the subcontinent into a Hindu-majority India and Muslim-majority East and West Pakistan. On August 15, 1947, India achieved its independence. Gandhi worked to stop the Muslim-Hindu riots that followed. On January 30, 1948, he was assassinated by a Hindu radical who was upset by Gandhi's efforts to reconcile Hindus and Muslims. Gandhi's legacy. Mahatma Gandhi is revered in India as the father of the country. He is remembered most for his nonviolent means of working for social justice, his acceptance of all faiths, and his ability to bring conflicting groups together. The model of Satyagraha has inspired civil rights leaders, such as Martin Luther King Jr., in many nations. Today Gandhi is one of the most universally known and revered figures in the world. In January 1997, nearly 50 years after his assassination, the ashes of Gandhi were spread in the Ganges River during a ceremony honoring his memory in Allahabad, India. The great-grandson of Gandhi, Tushar Gandhi, performed the act of dispersing the remains as thousands of onlookers chanted slogans in remembrance of the man who had succeeded, however briefly, in unifying a nation historically divided along religious and ethnic lines.